unconditional love means you should be able to talk about anything. Growing up, Mama Mai and I were very close. I honestly think I am a television host and an entertainer today because of Mama Mai. She taught me how to shine, taught me how to talk to people, relate to people, taught me how to do my makeup, how to put on my clothes and wear bright colors. When my second brother was born, there were 3 kids in the house now. Mama Mai had to take on a second job. So she became very busy. We needed to find a babysitter. So we called upon a family member. This family member came over every single day and stayed with me after school and became a really cool, iconic person in my life. This person was about 16, 17, and I was 9. I remember dyeing my hair black because of this person, listening to The Cure. If you can imagine, like, being about 9 years old at that time, you're just super impressionable and everything cool from skateboarding. Mama Mai, you're... My phone. Really?
Yeah, I told somebody to turn it up. Why didn't
Mom, you turn it off, Mom.
I did, but I don't know what happened.
Here, up here.
I do already. I don't know why. Move. Okay, done.
I'm pouring out my heart here. Does she understand this?
I did for the whole day. Did you hear anything the whole day? Only now. Just put me up.
Anyway, like I was saying, I really looked up to this family member who was babysitting me. We became very close. And I just remember one day, this person sitting really close to me, we were playing video games, and he started to touch my thigh. And I remember the whole
So Jeannie Mai is about to retell a period in her life from the age of about 9 to, I think she says, around 14, 15, where a family member is abusing her. And she goes into a little bit of detail, so this is obviously not suitable for young viewers. So if you are with children, this may not be an appropriate video for them. But following on from the conversation that I was having last night, the video that I did last night regarding why I believe a lot of Black women struggle with connecting with high-value Black men, a large part of that is to do with esteem issues, low sense of self-worth, and insecurity. I also believe that where there is prolonged abuse, there is neglect. And there are a number of videos online, shout out to everyone who's going to join or joining, where if Jeannie Mai says that she had a very, from a Western perspective, the relationship with Jeannie Mai and her mother was very authoritarian. It seems as though they were very close, but it was close in a cultural sense because it was normal for people to not express their emotions and to share and be very open. If you had issues, this is what she said, people kept it to themselves. But unfortunately, that culture, as much as it produces highly successful, accomplished people in terms of academics and the workplace, what we can see here is this environment often makes communication very difficult. And as a result, abuse can go unchecked. So I just want to put that out there, that if you are viewing this with young children, this may not be appropriate for them because of the graphic nature. And it follows on from the conversation I was having yesterday regarding this idea of authoritarian parenting.
Family member, I know him like this. I've known him for this long. He's taught me this. He's allowed in my house. This is cool. This is okay. And I also was just stunned because I've never been intimately touched like that. So I couldn't tell if it was wrong. I just knew I was noticing it. I was almost narrating it in my head. But I also just kept playing the video games. Every day, the touching continued a little bit more. Him taking off some of my clothes. We used to have the bathroom in your room. I remember him pulling me into that shower, and it was the first time I've ever seen a grown man and what he looked like. I was still 9 years old. I remember him telling me to touch him in certain ways. When I picture it, I just see flashes of things. I remember seeing the color of my clothes. I remember seeing blue jeans, and then my blue underwear, my green shirt that my mom bought for me. And this happened every day for a few weeks, and then it turned into months. And I remember one year going by. I didn't want to say anything because I was afraid. Honestly, because I knew you and Dad were struggling with money, and I knew that we had to have a babysitter, so I was afraid of getting him in trouble because then who would watch over us? And you were always really tired because you had 2 jobs and you were stressed out, and I never thought to come and bring more issues to you. He said certain things that made me afraid of making you angry at me. He would say things gonna hit you if you talk about the family. Or không ai tin đâu. Nhiều người nghĩ là con gái điên lắm, which is like nobody's gonna believe you. People think little girls like you are crazy. I would just come home and go to my room, and I just kind of knew that he would come in at some point, and there was nowhere in my house to run to. This went on for a long time, for a few years. I'm a teenager. I'm like 13, 14. And I remember getting quieter, and I started getting nightmares. I felt like you and I grew farther from each other because you were working so much. I approached my mom, and I tried to tell you what had happened. You were in the kitchen, you were cooking something. And I remember telling her, almost like pleading with her, like, I don't like this person. I don't want to stay at home with him anymore. Please stay home with me. I remember you were confused. I think you thought we were fighting, like kids fighting, right?
That's what I thought.
Do you remember this moment?
Yeah, I thought you guys fighting all the time. You said you don't like him, so I thought you'd fight. That's it.
So I remember the words I was saying was trying to get my mom to just get him to leave, but I also wasn't able to say it clearly because I don't even know what that word is in Vietnamese. That someone's touching you, like, you know what I mean? It's just so weird. So she didn't get it, and she just said, you guys don't like each other right now, just, ignore each other for now. I kind of went back to my own corner, and he was starting to become more aggressive with what he was doing to me in private. So I went to my mom, and I said that this person was doing things to me that you looked really confused.
I don't realize what you tried to say.
I told you that he took off my clothes.
Yeah, and then I don't believe it. That's my reaction. I don't believe it all because his parent is divorced. So my father bring him to our house, and then he was baby, 1 year old. We bring him and stay with us. He's just like the real son. He talk to me, he respect me, he very sweet, he really nice. Whatever I ask for help, you're gonna do it, you're gonna do everything. So when you tell me, I feel like is that right? I don't believe it.
It didn't match up.
It doesn't match up. I don't believe it, and I just let it go.
I began to get angry because now I'm telling my mom that he's taking off my clothes, and you said I don't believe you.
I should come ask him. I should get action to ask him. I don't know why. That time I feel like maybe I can say I'm stupid or I don't pay attention. I don't know.
You're not.
I feel like I don't believe it. When I don't believe it, I just let it go. I never think he's gonna do that. I never, because I think I love him very much.
But did you love him more than your daughter, who was trying to tell you something?
I love him more than I love you, because at that time I'm thinking he have no parent, and he came over here. I bring him to my house. I feel like I rescue him. I love him. At least you have father, you have mother, but him, he have nobody.
You're saying that just because he didn't have parents, you felt so bad for him that you chose to believe him over your own daughter.
It's not I chose, but I feel like you guys always fight all the time. You know what I mean? Mom,
Yeah,
I don't like my cousin. I like that. So, and then this is the point. I got tricked because I don't see anything bad thing about him. He's part of the blood of the family. I don't think he do that.
So in that moment, I was about 15. I remember distinctly those words. I don't believe you. He wouldn't do that. That's your cousin. This is in your head. I felt by myself. I even got to a point where I started to ask myself, did I imagine these things? I knew that it wasn't just in my head. And that's when I started to separate from you, Mom, and I decided at 16, I ran away from home. So I packed up my things and I left the house and I moved to San Francisco. I left the house and started to pursue my career in makeup, in styling, and later TV, and pretty much have been independent since 16. I spent 9 years, almost 10 years. never celebrating Mother's Day, never celebrating Christmases with my family. All of the traditions we always did, it stopped completely. My mom was mad at me for running away because she felt that that was disrespectful, and I hated you at the time because
at that time I feel like you want to run away, you want to learn heartbreak, go ahead, run. I don't need that kind of daughter. That's how I feel.
For anybody out there who has distance from your family member or maybe even a broken connection with your mom, you feel it. So at that time, my mom was doing her own thing and I had to find a way to reconnect with her, but I hadn't talked to her in years. I finally got to contacting where you were at that moment, and I came over, and I remember I knocked on the door, and as soon as the door opened, we went at it. The ugly cry, the ugly scream, the scene from Love and Hip Hop, like everything you could think of, and I said it one more time. You never believed me when I needed you to. You listened, and you said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And I said, I told you about this. I told you that this person, this family member has been touching me and has been doing things to me every single day for years. And you never helped me. All of a sudden you stopped and you said, tell me exactly what he did. And I told you everything.
I don't know why I really listened to her single detail, everything. And I'm really shocked because I cannot believe it. This is a real thing. It's happened to my family. Make me guilty and make me feel so bad and make me cannot sleep and I want to come over to his house. I want to punch him. I want to put him in jail. You know what I mean? I cannot believe it. That's happened to my daughter, and then she ran away because of that reason. Because I don't believe her. I have to say, I'm really sorry, Kong. I'm really sorry because I don't know what happened. I don't know why I love that boy and I take care like a real son, and then do that to you. I cannot believe it.
That's what I guess that's Mom. I obviously forgive you now because you're like my best friend, of course, and I'm so happy that we reconnected. But I'll never forget why you didn't believe me. And even like right now when you say that you loved him more than me because you felt bad for him, I just don't understand.
That's how I feel. I feel sorry for him, you know. I don't know what to do. But the only thing I can say, I'm really sorry. After that, I cannot sleep. For the whole night, I cannot sleep. In the morning, I came over to his house. I asked him.
Whose house?
What is it? Him.
So this is the crucial bit now.
Yes, I came to his house. I asked him. I said, why you do that to my daughter? What did you do? Can you tell me what's going on? He's shocked. And then he said, I didn't know anything. Who told you? I say, my daughter told me. You better tell me right now before I call the police.
You went to his house later on?
Yes, I went to his house later on.
When I told you what happened, you mean as an adult?
Yes, I almost hit him.
How come you never told me this?
No, because I'm so mad. Because I'm so mad. I just do without you. And I came over. And then I almost slapped him. And then he
sweep
begged
it straight
me.
under the rug.
Please, don't say anything. Please, don't say anything. He told me,
Morning.
forgive him. He's too young. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then he know he's stupid. And he say, would you please tell Jeannie, can I buy the present for her?
Oh my God.
No, that's why he asked me, can I buy the present for her? So I can talk, I can apologize. I'm trying to tell him, my daughter hates the people like that. And then she'll write a book, she's talking about you, and I cannot stop my daughter because, you know, I feel bad, I feel embarrassed. What did I do to her? How come I don't on her side? I'll be on your side. Right now, if I can kill you, you know, you're the first one on my list. I told him like that.
Okay, so I don't even know where I'm going to go with this, but I was just going through some videos about All right. Can everyone hear me? Good. Okay. So we are, I don't even know where I'm going to go with this whole thing, to be honest with you, because it kind of starts to paint a bigger picture of Jeannie Mai as to why she maybe behaved the way she did in the past, why she had issues in her marriage. And it's all to do with the parenting that she received growing up. So, she had what was known as very authoritarian parenting. And, oh my gosh. Oh, here we go. She had a very authoritarian parent who basically, there's a bit of a culture clash. Now, when it comes to producing a highly successful person, the mother's parenting style was very effective. But when it came on to emotionally being there for the children, she was very detached. And this is what I was kind of talking a little bit about last night regarding the concept of how parents raise their children. Oh my God. I'm trying to get this thing here without bringing everything into the screen. Okay. So this is the stream from last night. And I want to focus on this idea of authoritarian parenting, because where you have a culture of do as I say, not what I do, this is how a lot of abuse can get swept under the rug. Because when we look at this concept of the right hand side of the diagram, this is where you have a high degree of neglect. And what we see here, Jeannie Mai's mother was somebody who cared very much about her image. That's why when the daughter came to her to tell her something is happening to me, she cared more about how she would look in the face of other people than how the child was feeling. This is why, although the daughter came to her distressed, saying, something is happening to me, this person is doing, it's strange to hear a child came to their own mother and said, this person comes to me every day and removes my clothes and takes me into the shower. And the mother turned around and says, I don't believe you. But as Kazama Fury said, it is actually way more common than people would like to believe. Part of it is to do with shock, and obviously part of it is to do with a breach of trust, because we know 90% of people who are sexually abused are abused by people they know. Obviously, this makes sense because a perpetrator needs to know when to strike. So in order to be able to know the perfect time to strike, they obviously need to be close to the family. It's much easier to manipulate somebody who trusts you. And she actually went on to explain how he would then manipulate her by saying things like, people will say girls like you are crazy, nobody would believe you, and you'll get into trouble. This is the problem with authoritarian parenting. Because it's very strict, because there is low warmth and poor communication, predators can easily slip under the radar in this situation, because they can always use the fear that the child has for the parent against the child in order to manipulate them further. There was also a compounded issue with poverty. The mother had to get a second job. This is why this person was brought into the house in the first place, to babysit, because the mother needed to work two jobs in order to pay for everything that the family needed, or maybe the children needed. She had 3 children, Jeannie and two younger brothers. And so this person was brought in as a babysitter in order so the mother could go to work. But the fact that they have this culture, and I'm not really knocking, Chinese Vietnamese culture, but it's a thing where, because they have a culture of keeping things to themselves, predatory behavior goes unchecked. And this is what I was saying yesterday about the idea that when it comes on to a prolonged abuse, it's coupled with neglect. And here the mother was negligent, and a large part of her issue was how she would be perceived by other people. She didn't want people to think maybe she didn't love the boy, or she was being unfair, or because she was close to her daughter, but not in a way where she could see a change in the mood and take things seriously in terms of distress. And that's why the abuse went on for about 5 years, from the age of 9, progressing up into the age of about 14, 15. And Kizamafuri says, I have a sibling that was a victim of a family member abuse. I found out about it when I got in my 30s, swept under the rug. The hardest thing was telling my cousin it was his late father. And this is the thing, because it's somebody you trust, because it's somebody who you may fear is going to get into trouble or who can put you into trouble, that person gets free rein. They can continually work and manipulate the whole family, because what the mother said was, I never believed this person could do such a thing, because outside of what you're telling me, I don't see any evidence of abusive behavior. But that is part of the manipulation and the mind control that goes on in this type of situation. They have one face that they show to everybody, to the point where Jeannie, after years of being abused, actually questioned, was it even really happening? I don't think that this is that uncommon, because the trauma that is inflicted upon the child is so strong. And obviously you're being gaslighted because the person is telling you that this is not real, or that everybody else is, the abuser is basically using other people to gaslight you. And gaslighting is a mental manipulation where you are having your reality augmented. Obviously, one of the typical forms of gaslighting, very common example, is you're looking for something and the person who is trying to gaslight you wants to make you doubt your sanity or your confidence. So when you come in and say, I'm looking for something, say it's a key or the phone, they hide it. So you look around, and while your back is turned, they put it back. And then they start to tell you, well, you're crazy, you're stupid, look how it was right here. Now you're questioning, I'm pretty confident that thing wasn't there. But if it's here, it must have been there. And maybe I am stupid, maybe I am crazy, maybe I am foolish. And that's how the manipulation progresses over time, where you co-sign the abuse because you're being told by everybody they're true and you're not. And so it's unfortunate. Exactly, parents caring more about the image of their image is why mental health is a big issue with their children, becomes a big issue with their children. And that's a key factor here with authoritarian parenting, because in this situation, you have low levels of support, low levels of love and affection, but you have a very strict parenting style and a high emphasis on performance. And so the parent is the center of their parenting. So she wanted to look good in front of people. She didn't want people to think she was a bad person bringing this boy into the house who doesn't have a family. He was brought from abroad. She felt guilty. She didn't really take it seriously. Although she really loved her daughter, there was a lack of communication there that caused the daughter to not be able to tell the mother what was really going on. And because the mother was so preoccupied, and although she's not a single mother, because she now has the additional responsibility of an extra job, she's spread too thin. She might not be a single mother, but the impact is the same, where you have parents who are not connecting with their children, who are not engaging them, who are not trying to sit down with them and, really monitor what's going on in their world from a relationship standpoint. Predatory behavior is easy to slip in. And so as I was going through some videos, I came across, I can't remember, is it Tamara Hall, where she kind of started talking about how Jeannie Mai started talking about how she actually overcame sexual abuse. And I said, this kind of fits a lot of what she was talking about with the anger problems. She said it impacted the way she responds to people. It impacted the way she sees herself. And for all we know, those unresolved issues could have even contributed to the breakdown in her first marriage. Because at the end of the day, when she ran away at 16, feeling alone, the only thing she knew to do was to perform. She had no choice but to take care of herself, because the one person that she should have been able to rely on was not there for her. And that carried on that aggressive, strong and independent mentality where you have to perform in order to be able to get ahead. She carried that into her workplace, which made her very successful in her career. But emotionally, she was stunted. So when I came across this video, I thought that was really interesting. And what Jeannie Mai actually goes on to say later on at the end of the video, when the mother turns around and says, I actually went when you came back like 10 years later, and I confronted him after you told me in detail what he used to do to you. She said, this is what I needed when I was 15. Everything could have been different had you reacted at 25 when I was 15. Because all I really wanted to know is that you believed me and that you were in my corner. A lot of psychological damage that occurs as a result of childhood sexual abuse is actually as a result. Please tell me this thing has not crashed again. It actually occurs as a result of the fact that the parents are not supportive. There is life after child abuse. There is life after rape and sexual assault, but you have to have a support system. And the environment in which prolonged abuse can occur is often the same environment where the support that's necessary is lacking. So when I came across this, I just wanted to highlight this, because with this whole conversation about submission, that unresolved issue between her mother, the unforgiveness, the bitterness, the way she perceived herself, the way she felt very defensive. You know, her mother is still highly critical. Jeannie Mai is on Dancing with the Stars, and the mother is still being this quite, not overbearing, but I mean, for their culture, that's a norm. But the mother is still very strict and very harsh with her. And this impacts somebody's self-esteem, the way they look at themselves, and sometimes even what they tolerate. And so when I saw that, I said, this picture is unfolding a bit deeper, but kudos to Jeannie Mai for actually doing the work. She's forgiven her mother, and more importantly, she's resolved some of these issues. She's come to terms with the past, and also she's learned from it and is moving forward. So that's all I've got for this one. Thanks so much for everybody who came through. Share the video with somebody who needs to see it, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.